Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and my guest today is our Member of Provincial Parliament, Michael Gravelle. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Steve. It's great to be on your show.
So, as most of the viewers will know, you're representing Thunder Bay Superior North in our provincial parliament.
I am indeed. I've been the MPP since 1995. The first election was actually for the riding of Port Arthur, and then in 1999 it became part of Thunder Bay Superior North, combining the Lake Nipigon riding. But been doing it for a number of years now and continuing to love having the privilege of doing it.
So you've been our member for 19 years. We see you as a politician, but what came before? Tell us a little bit about the early years for Michael Gravelle.
Well, that's nice to have a chance to talk about that a bit because, I mean, politics has certainly, even at a very early age, been part of what was in my blood, perhaps, or inspired me. As a very young man, I was very interested in politics, and I was particularly engaged. I'm of an age where I was very engaged by John F. Kennedy. And when he ran for the presidency in 1960, and I was entranced, I think, by the values that he espoused, and cared a little bit about Canadian politics as well, but really got connected to politics in terms of our world, our province, our country, with Pierre Trudeau. I recall being a relatively cynical young teenage guy, I
hope so, for crying out loud.
Absolutely.
Well, I've got to be a teenager.
I think I still am kind of, at least an activist, but I was. And I do recall vividly the speech that Pierre Trudeau gave about a just society. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking that is what it should be about. We need to represent everyone. We need a more fair society. And that drew me to it. As it turns out, the son of the then present federal member of parliament for Thunder Bay Nipigon, whose name was Robert Andras, so some of us will remember Mr. Andras. He got me involved in his father's campaign. I became very involved in the 1968 election campaign. Almost quickly ended up taking a summer job with Mr. Andras and became a political assistant, a full-time political assistant, at the age of 20 for Mr. Andras. I never called him anything but Mr. Andras, by the way. I was a young man working for this guy, and he was a cabinet minister in the Pierre Trudeau cabinet. So it was an astonishing way to spend one's life in the 20s. It forged in me the importance of constituency work and how, because I ran Mr. Andrus's constituency office. And I remember realizing that no matter what stuff you do as a big shot minister or whatever, it's helping people on the ground. If you can have a way to help people with situations that have no reason to go public, that's the most satisfying thing you can do. So that was what happened. I carried on with that, left politics, got involved with broadcasting for a while, was working at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation in the 1980s and loved it. I was a television sports publicist, radio news and current affairs publicist in the days of Morningside.
Was that here in Thunder Bay?
No, this is in Toronto. I actually
left.
It's interesting.
For a while.
Yeah, I left and got the job in Toronto, but was so painfully homesick, truly homesick for Thunder Bay, that while I was still working at CBC, I realized I wanted to come home. And I did. I actually left my work at CBC. My family wasn't very pleased about it. No, everybody was advising me not to do this. But I said, I've got to come back to Thunder Bay. And I came back, and as a result of that, I became re-engaged in politics. Got a job with the Ministry of Northern Development and Mines, running what were called Northern Development Councils, a great organization that asks for input from citizens all across the North as to what the government should do. Then in the mid-90s, made the decision that there was an opportunity for me to run as the Liberal candidate in the Port Arthur riding. Lynn MacLeod was the leader of the Liberal Party in the province of Ontario. There was some expectation, actually, that we were going to, or Lynn was going to be able to win the 95 election. This is the Mike Harris election
yes,
I'm
indeed.
talking about. Regardless of whether or not we were going to win it, and I was very excited about having the opportunity to be a candidate. I ran for the nomination against 3 other people, won the nomination. Bob Rae was the premier at the time. The election was called very quickly, managed to get myself elected in 1995. And, you know, that's, and I do recall at a relatively early stage of being elected, thinking, oh boy, this feels like the right thing for me to doing. My job has always felt more like a mission or a vocation than a job. That's still the case, and it's really what has actually probably driven my my energy and my passion for it. But you know, managed to get myself reelected each and every time. Ran against some very strong people, strong opponents. You were a great candidate. Well, you were. I mean, you were a terrific candidate. We had a great race and had a good exchange of ideas. I was able to beat you ever so barely, and you know, I think one of the marks of this business is, despite that, you and I were friends, are friends, and continue to work together as best we can on many of the same similar goals. So I've had an interesting life that's had a lot of politics to it, and the greatest joy I have now is that I continue to feel the passion for the job. And frankly, when you've been at it as long as I have, I think that's what the people should expect from you. I want people to see me working hard. I want people to see me caring, and I want to remain as connected as ever as I can with my constituents, if not more connected.
So you talked about being inspired by Pierre Trudeau and building a better society. So what did that look like for you? When you conceptualized a better society, what did that look like? What was different than what you saw happening in the day-to-day world?
Well, I think probably what it looked like then and what it looks like now are much the same. I do think that we tend to still have a society where I think there truly isn't fairness for everyone. I think one of the things you most, I think, fight for when you're in a position, in an elected office, perhaps that goes for municipal as well, and hopefully for federal as well, is you want to make sure that as many people as possible are being served well by government. And I think there always can be a case made that there are certain groups, perhaps because they haven't got the loudest voices. Is that children? Sometimes it is indeed children. Or people who are living in poverty. I think that's another good example. And I won't certainly sit here and tell you that I think that our government or myself have been able to make all the changes that need to be made. But I'm proud right now personally to be part of a government led by Kathleen Wynne, who has made those issues and us governing from an activist center, as she put it, so important. You know, we have taken some measures that have made a real difference. So what it means to me is that ultimately everybody has the right to be treated absolutely equally, and I mean of equal value. So whether you're meeting with the head of a big company who you want to invest in a mining project or in Northern Ontario, or I'm meeting with my constituents, as I was this past Friday, who have what it would be described by most as a relatively small problem, but to them it's the biggest issue of the day. There needs to be the same amount of attention paid to it. And I'm not sure I always succeed, but I do work very hard to make sure that I give it that kind of attention, that I'm fighting for them. I want to feel that there's someone who's representing them. And we've got still some work to do. There's no question about it. It's still a society where indeed there isn't an entire equity and entire equality and entire fairness. And that's something that I still feel quite strongly about.
We'll come back to that issue. We're just going to take a short break. Please stay with us.